On a bright sunny morning, in a lush green forest, a clever fox named Felix was strolling along a winding path. Felix was not just any fox. He was known for his sharp mind and quick wit. But today, Felix wasn't feeling clever at all. He was hungry-starving, in fact. His stomach growled louder than the wind rustling through the trees. "I need something delicious," Felix muttered to himself. "Not just any meal feast worthy of a clever fox like me." As he wandered deeper into the forest, the sunlight danced on the leaves, and the chirping of birds filled the air. Suddenly, Felix's sharp eyes caught sight of a vine hanging from an old tree. The vine was heavy with large, plump purple grapes, glistening like tiny jewels in the sunlight. "Oh, what a treasure!" Felix exclaimed, licking his lips. "These grapes look delicious! Surely they'll satisfy my hunger." Felix eagerly approached the vine. The grapes were hanging high, just out of reach. He stood on his hind legs and stretched as far as he could, but the grapes were still too high. "Ha! This is nothing for a fox as clever as I am," Felix said confidently. He backed up a few steps, crouched down, and leapt into the air. His paws swiped at the grapes, but he missed by a whisker. Felix landed with a thud. He grumbled, brushing the dirt off his fur. "I just need a better plan." He tried again, and again, each jump more desperate than the last. He leaped and twisted, stretched and strained, but the grapes remained tantalizingly out of reach. Frustration mounted with each failed attempt. His cleverness felt useless against the height of the vine. Finally, exhausted and defeated, Felix slumped to the ground. He looked up at the juicy grapes, their purple skins gleaming in the sun. A sigh escaped his lips. "Those grapes are probably sour anyway," he muttered, turning away and stalking off into the forest, his hunger still gnawing at his belly. He decided to search for something easier to catch, something within his reach. Determined, Felix the fox scanned the area. His sharp eyes landed on a fallen log nearby. "Perfect! I'll use this log as a step," he thought. Rolling the log under the vine was harder than he expected, but Felix pushed and shoved until it was in place. He climbed onto the log, feeling taller and more confident. He stretched again, standing on his tiptoes, but the grapes were still just out of reach. "Why must they be so high?" Felix grumbled. He jumped off the log and paced back and forth, his tail flicking with frustration. Felix wasn't ready to give up. He decided to take a running start and leap as high as he could. "This time I'll get them for sure," he said. He backed up, took a deep breath, and dashed forward with all his might. He jumped higher than ever before, his paws stretching toward the grapes, but once again, he missed. He landed with a loud thud, exhausted and defeated. Felix lay on the ground, staring up at the grapes. They seemed to taunt him, swaying gently in the breeze. "Why are you so difficult to reach?" he muttered. After a few moments, Felix stood up, dusted himself off, and smirked. "Who needs those silly grapes anyway? They're probably sour and not worth my effort." With a flick of his tail, Felix turned and trotted away. But deep down, he knew the truth he didn't want to admit defeat. He spotted a plump, juicy strawberry nearby, easily within reach. He happily munched on the strawberry, deciding that some challenges weren't worth the effort, and that sometimes the best rewards are the easiest to find. The sun warmed his fur as he continued his stroll, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. He reflected on his cleverness, realizing that his resourcefulness extended beyond just reaching the grapes. He could adapt and find joy in unexpected ways. The experience taught him the value of flexibility and the importance of recognizing when to change his approach. He continued his journey through the forest, feeling more confident and content than before. The memory of the grapes would serve as a reminder of his resilience and his ability to find alternative paths to satisfaction. He even started to think about the possibilities of making a delicious strawberry jam. His clever mind was already working on new ideas, and the forest held countless opportunities for his creative spirit to flourish. He was, after all, Felix, the creative fox. In the heart of the forest, Felix the fox had a reputation for his quick thinking and sly demeanor, but even the cleverest fox needs food to fuel his brain. After hours of wandering and searching for something delicious to eat, Felix's paws ached and his stomach growled louder than ever. "This forest must have something special for me," he said aloud, trying to keep his spirits high. As he meandered through the trees, the sunlight broke through the canopy, creating golden patches on the ground. Then, as if by magic, Felix's sharp nose picked up a sweet aroma wafting through the air. Following the scent, he came across a vine laden with plump, juicy grapes, hanging high above his reach. Felix tried to jump, but the grapes were just out of his grasp. He tried again and again, his frustration growing with each failed attempt. Finally, exhausted and discouraged, he slumped to the ground, muttering, "Those grapes are too high. They're not worth the effort." As Felix continued on his way, he met a wise old owl perched on a low branch. The owl had been watching the entire scene unfold. "Giving up so soon, Felix?" the owl hooted. "The grapes were sour," Felix replied, shrugging. The owl chuckled. "Sometimes when things are hard to achieve, we tell ourselves they're not worth it. But remember, Felix, nothing worth having comes easy. Next time, try harder or find another way." Felix paused, realizing the owl was right. "Perhaps you're right," he admitted. From that day on, Felix learned to face challenges with more determination and creativity. And though he never got those grapes, he never gave up on other adventures in the forest. He learned to look for alternative routes, to use his wit and cleverness to overcome obstacles. He discovered new food sources, made new friends, and even learned to climb trees with greater skill. His perseverance paid off, leading him to a life filled with exciting discoveries and rewarding experiences. The forest, once a source of frustration, became a place of endless possibilities for the resourceful fox.